Inside is to help people of all ages and abilities live happier, healthier lives. So I just wanted to share that. I know I've had a few staff in the past who were like, oh, we didn't know you were catering to beginners, or we didn't know you did like all levels, and so I felt like I hadn't really communicated that part of my vision. And so whenever we're coaching, I really want to make the woman who's 275 pounds feel comfortable more than I care about the person who's so fit getting the perfect workout. Does that make sense? Not that we can't try to do it all, but the focus is that really early person. And an example of this is, I don't think it's anyone in here, but I've been to workouts where it's like, you start the workout and it's jumping jacks. No tap outs, nothing. And jumping jacks aren't a warm up. They might be at the end, but for our client base, there's actually been studies, the second your feet leave the ground, your injury risk goes up by 300%. So it's not necessary, especially at the start of a workout. So just want to make sure everyone's kind of on the same page with that. Does anybody have any reflections or anything? Do you feel like that fits what we do here? Yeah? And I really appreciate everyone who answered the survey. I think we got like 21 responses, which was great. And so based on that, and really my passion and Pat's passion, I wanted to share what we thought would be some really great core values to put up on the wall back there and at West Springs and just really live by, and not just us as coaches and admin and staff, but also, hi Cheryl.
Hi.
Also our clients, like really making them step up. So first one's bringing your best, and that could look really different for someone who's 5 months pregnant, 8 months pregnant, having a really sad time, their mom's just died, like that could look different, but bringing your best, be inspiring, that's probably my #1 core value personally, and I wanted it to be part of the business as well. Supporting others, you know, whatever that looks like, giving high fives between stations, partnering people up who are fitter to help other people, things like that. Constantly learning and growing. I'm really passionate about that. I think if we're not learning and growing, we're just going backwards. So that doesn't have to look the same for everyone. Have fun, that's big for us. Strive for progress. So never striving for perfection, always striving for progress. And then the last one is celebrate wins. So does anybody have any feelings about this? Does it resonate? Is there any that you're like, ugh, so not me, so not, and I won't be upset, I swear. Laura tells me how it is all the time.
I'm still here.
She's still here after all these years. Is there anything that you feel is missing?
I'll just caution one thing. I had someone as a client, like working out at 5 in the morning, pair me up with a girl.
Okay.
It's not a good idea because I'm too hardcore, and she would try and keep up, even though I try and tell her, okay, don't do what I do. Like you've got to match. Like, and they don't always listen, right? And she ended up almost passed out on the front bench, laying there not feeling well. So we brought her over, we put her with orange juice, and I mean everything turned out fine. But it's just something to be aware. When you do team them up with somebody else, just keep in mind who you're teaming them up with, because if you're going to team them up with people who are going beast mode, not that I do, but people who do, it's just something to be aware of, that sometimes that's not the person you want to team the beginner, but maybe someone in the intermediate.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's great.
And there's some longer term clients I know, like who've been with us 3-4 years, who are the perfect person to go with, the true newbie, because
they'll actually slow their workout down.
They'll slow they want to basically be a leader within that. On some days, and some days they don't, right? And some days you might feel that, and other days you want to focus on you, which is totally
which I mean, I was coaching her, like, don't always do what I do, don't pick, because she was trying to pick heavier, and like, you know what, I'm still going to work out my way, but you need to just, you know, if you can't continue it, I want you to slow your, like, trying it, but she wasn't hearing anything, and then I was like, because you don't want to interrupt the person's, like, because me being a coach, it was fine, I didn't mind it, but if you put her with someone who's here to actually bust their ass out, the last thing you want to do is wreck their workout, because making them slow down to lose out on their workout to help that person, because that's not on them, that's on the coaches more. And so it was just a thought, because I was like, where'd she go? And all of a sudden we found her over there laying on the bench, all dramatic.
Actually, I did have feedback. Was it Thursday night? I can't remember which. No, it would have been Tuesday night. That one of the clients thought that the change up meant partner stuff, and they were so relieved that it wasn't partner stuff.
They thought it was only partner
all the time.
That's weird. That's
Well, she didn't actually, she was
So-
exaggerating, right? But.
So,
Speaking to, excuse me, to Carrie's point, it's a very, very good point, trying to do your best to put similar fitness levels together in the groups, right? And it could be, someone new to us could be a very, very high fitness level, so it's trying to recognize, and there's gonna be some trial and error that goes on to that, but being generally aware that the 270-pound person should probably not be with like Albert. I pick on Albert all the time because he stands out obviously amongst our group of clients. So yeah, keeping that in mind for coaches.
I think also asking the client if you can partner them up with someone. That's a huge compliment to them. I've done that with Ruth and a few other people at the 715 and going to them and saying, you know, you've been with us for a while, you know our program, would it be okay if we partnered you up with a new person? And they're like, oh, like they feel really good about being asked, and then they are more sociable with that person instead of just sticking them together when we're making groups. If you've asked them, then they're like more inclined to be like, hey, I'm Ruth, I've been here for 3 years, blah, 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 make conversation, which makes a new person feel more comfortable. So just asking them, and then it's a friendship right off the get-go, right? So it's
Yeah, I
worked
like
for me
that.
anyways. Yeah.
some clients don't wanna help someone.
And sometimes they'll say no. Like sometimes you'll ask them, they're like, no, I'm just having a bad day, I'm just here for my workout, but that's their opportunities to say no when you ask them, right? So,
Yeah, perfect. And it's only really for really new people, I'd say.
totally. Yeah.
Cool, and that's kind of, I mean, a part of our messaging in the workouts even, like, this is your workout, no comparison, it's all about progress, just do a little bit harder than yesterday if you can, and never, like, I'm not personally passionate about boot camps that try to make people throw up, and that's just not who we are at Ironside, and that's fine if that's your thing, but it's not really our thing. So, I think the next maybe was, so the next thing was a couple comments I've had recently. Personally, I know everyone gets compliments and all that stuff. One thing I hear almost every time I train is, your workouts go by so fast, like how do you do that? And another thing is, you make it feel like it's personal training. And so I wanted to brainstorm that with you. How can we make, because we do tell people that it's group training, personalized group training. So how can we make each session feel like personal training? So I'd love to just hear, kind of call it out, and I'll try to write really fast.
The
Say
form
their
correction.
Names. What was that, Laura?
The form correction. The
Yeah,
touching.
huge.
The touching, the feeling, the happy endings.
Touch is huge,
You guys
yeah.
wanna do that?
Praise.
That's what everyone wants to
Praise
say.
our session. Praise them this time, like praise them that they're doing a great
Yeah,
job.
perfect. Praise great form. Praise great intensity, not just always correcting. Praise great things. Anything else?
Remembering something personal about them that they might have told you the last session.
Or if they've been traveling, you ask them about their vacation or any of those things like those personal touches.
Personal events. or-
Knowing their injuries, if they require modification,
Yeah, that goes a
without
long way.
asking them.
Yeah. Or asking, how's your knee today?
Yeah.
I think telling them where they should be feeling each exercise too.
People love that. The more education, the better. And it gives us more to talk about. So,
I'm gonna caution
explaining,
that one.
explaining,
Yeah, like just being like more.
Where you should feel it.
Yeah.
The focus.
mindful, yeah,
Yeah.
explaining the purpose and where to feel it.
That one I'm gonna harp on that one. It's very important, but I think it's also important to be done during the exercise, not during the demo. Because doing that during the demo is how you have a 10-minute demo and everyone's like, what's going on here, I wanna get going. And then they forget it by the time they do the exercise
And
anyhow.
that's where you say, do you feel it? Do you feel it in that muscle group that you're doing right now?
Yeah.
Do you feel that? Where do you feel it right now?
Yeah, and now that we're not doing like strict core days, I always find core days, some people are like, I'm just not feeling it. And then it's more educating, okay, like, put your intention there, even if you're not quite feeling it yet, you will, like, just the muscle memory will build, as long as the form is right.
I think
Yeah,
empowering them too, because I'm going around adding plates. Up your weight, that's looking too easy. Come on, I know you can do it. And then standing there with them, especially if they, I mean, I've had Amelia in particular be on her knees and she says, I can't do a push-up for my toes. I'm like, well, next round you're doing them, so just set it in your intention. You're coming around next round. And sure enough, she goes from her toes. I'm like, I want 3. She does 3. I'm like, hey, those were easy. Let's do another 3. By the time she's done 8 of them. And she's like, and so I think
Wow.
that just
That's big.
that one-on-one.
Yeah.
That's huge, seeing the potential in clients, because they often don't see it in themselves, right? And that's our job, pulling that greatness out of them.
You
How
can go-
excited was she that day, right?
She told me she loved me and hated me in the same sentence. Which is fine, that's what I'm going for.
It's passion, either way, right?
I always tell them, you can scream my name in vain, I don't really care, it's just gonna make me feel really good.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
And something, if you don't mind just speaking to, at the start of the sessions, you talk about touch. I think this is
I
powerful.
always, because I warn the clients.
Can you, tell them what you say?
So, like, especially when I came over to Silver on the long weekend, because I don't coach here, so I don't know any of the clients. Some of my Westies came over with me, which was really sweet of them. But I always warn clients, if you don't like to be touched, I want your hands up now, because I'm a hands-on coach, and I would rather have your mind in the move, and I'm just gonna augment your hips to better your plank, rather than me try and explain to you what I want you to do, because the whole time you're in your plank, I want you focused on your shoulders, I want you focused on your hips. If you've got your shoulders bang on, your hips are out, I'm not gonna come and explain to you, I'm just gonna put you where I want you to think about how it feels when you're in that position and hold it and move on, and I want your brain to stay focused. Where you are, if you have a problem with it, put your hands up. I've yet to have anyone say no, but I don't like to try and explain to them where I want them, because one, it wastes a lot of time on a 45-second round, like just, here, okay, hold it, feel that, great, awesome, and then I move on, so.
Yeah, and I've never found anyone didn't want it. I just think that's a nice, if you don't know a lot of the clients, just to say that. I was thinking if Jared was here, it's definitely like more a male thing to have to do that, I think. Anything else? This is a great list.
One thing I'm gonna, like Laura said it seriously but jokingly too, or at least I interpreted jokingly with the happy ending. Rephrasing that to,
Happy ending.
it's a psychological thing.
I don't know where your mind went, but
it's
mine
called-
was just happy times.
She's got her guacamole, she's all set over here.
From a psychological standpoint, and it's also, it's used in selling all the time, but it's called the peak end experience. This is, if you've been to hot yoga and you get the lemon scented towel at the end, that's the peak end experience. Because even if you hated the preceding 75 minutes, that final 5 minutes of laying there with the towel, you end up with such an endorphin rush, feeling so good at the end that naturally calls you back to do it again. So, 60 minutes of mediocre experience can be trumped by 2 or 3 minutes of really good experience right at the end, because that's what you remember the most. Tying that into our workouts here, we have the stretch period at the end, and it's important that the stretch period actually happens and isn't, I'm rushed for time, like, oh, we're gonna do this, oh, okay, bye, because they're gonna be like, the fuck just happened there, right? It's like a rushed experience where they didn't get the stretch, they knew the purpose, they knew something was off because they come here often. So making sure that, the peak end experience here, with us it also transpires over to the admins. Like the admins role is saying like, thanks for coming in, have a great day. Leaving people with warm and fuzzies as they leave rather than just being anonymous. So I guess it ties back into timing of workout and treating like a personal training session. One-on-one personal training session generally ends with assisted stretching from pretty much everyone I've ever seen. It's the peak end experience. You beat somebody up for an hour and you gave them 5 minutes of loving at the end and that connection, and they love it and they keep coming back. So try to, within our workouts, coaches, making sure the stretch has an appropriate time behind it. Aside from the physiological requirement of the stretch, but it also helps the mindset of the client going out the door, and then the admins as well. Obviously, we're short on admins in here, but actually being welcoming upon entry and really welcoming upon leaving too. I think that's what Laura meant with the happy endings.
Well, I mean, personal touching them makes them feel connected to you as well.
Yeah.
And they just feel like they're getting more personal. They can't get that in a big class of 60 people at Westside, that kind of thing. And then also the end, it's been proven in studies, like people that stretch after their workout are more likely to keep doing it more often because they have, in their mind, it felt good. And even people in CrossFit, they always say that was fun at the end. Well, we watched a documentary, apparently they do. Is that true? I know you don't do CrossFit, but
Yeah.
like something like high fives, like something to feel, even though it was hard as hell, like that was fun. Like just, and so when we're even like saying goodbye to the clients, like you're amazing, you did such a great gift for your body, congratulations, can't wait to see you, just make them feel really good. Anything else?
I have one more to add is when you see a client that maybe struggled on an exercise, or their knees are bothering them, or their shoulders bothering them, taking the time after a session to maybe talk to them and show them the exercise again one-on-one, or to give them the rehabilitation handout for shoulders, wrists, knees, any of those things, and that goes a really long way because now they trust you and they're going to come to you when they have any of these injuries and ask you for modifications. Sometimes they just want to blend in the session, and we want to actually give them the best workout we can, so just giving them a little bit more attention at the end. And Ava does this all the time with clients that struggle, say at the TRX, she'll take time afterwards to show them how to get in and out and stuff like that, or show them a modification for the exercise, so.
That's huge. Thank you. Cool. So I made a little list. Names. I think we already covered all these. Point out awesomeness, correct form. I was gonna go through like a few common form things that I always see when I'm training. Big one is like people's shoulder. They'll be like in a plank like this, with like shoulders lined up, hands wide, and I often see this. So I tell them to press up between their shoulder blades. Lunges, I'm a big fan. I was always trained to have your toe like slightly like even 1 degree out at the front, because a lot of clients are doing this, and then they're just further strengthening the strongest part of their quad. So having it at least straight if not turned out. Core, the pelvic tilt when they're doing leg lowering type things. Does anybody else have common ones that you're just like, this is every session I'm saying this?
Chest proud.
Yeah.
Yeah, chest proud, like, and head up. So, cause sometimes you get doing, even at the cable machines, they'll be doing like rows, but they'll be like this, instead of like keeping their head up and looking at the back wall. In push-ups, I find that they're looking like down in between, and so I always say look like 3 inches in front of yourself, so you have like that alignment of your neck, so you're not like straining your neck.
I like that. I remind them like your head is an extension of your spine, so keep it in line with your spine.
Yeah.
But I like that looking.
Like
That's
3
more
inches,
concrete.
and then it's like people can actually visually see that, so then all of a sudden it lines up.
I also see a lot of in your clients just even a basic squat. They always tend to go like knee first, but just teaching them to go hips back first and then going down, because you see them, then it's just, exactly. It's just not working for them, and then you tell them the instant thing, they're like, oh, okay, this feels good.
Yeah, and to tag on to that, it's like the heel connection to the floor. Like, you just remind them, the heels don't leave the floor when you're squatting, push back so that, otherwise you're in the toes and your knees are over the toes.
Anyone else have any big ones?
Laura always calls me out on my shoulders being up. I do this all the time.
Shrugging.
Yeah. So just remembering to hold them down.
Cool. And then I had that post-workout like support. So yeah, TRX is huge. I see clients get so frustrated. It's like, okay, there's 10 seconds left. You're still not in the TRX, even though I'm like, if it takes too long to get in, it's not for you today. But then I don't want them to feel like it'll never be for them. So if you want a little tutorial at the end, just let me know. And a lot of people take me up on that. And then I often say at the end, especially on core day, which is like, if there was just something you just weren't feeling, like, please let me know, and I'm happy to coach you, show you how to do it more specifically, and maybe even find a better modification for your body. Harder, I think that was Carrie was saying, like, notice that they can do it easily. Give them a heavier weight. Ava's really good at that. Laura's really good at that. I know a client wrote in, she's like, could you, and Laura did a seminar on this, but she's like, could you have some way of telling us like what we should be lifting? That's hard, I think. But I personally believe by the end of the set, it should be hard.
Almost halfway through.
Really?
Not sure.
Should be struggling.
Almost halfway through, you just start to feel that,
So many clients are just like,
Yeah, I walked up behind my group and everyone's about to grab. I'm like, oh, what are you grabbing? 10? Okay, no, you're getting 12s. You're getting 6. Like, I actually will say to them right away, okay, guys, you guys are running. Yeah, put those down. Go the next level up. That's where you're starting today. And they're all like, what? And I'm like, come on.
And sometimes it's
Because
a
you know
matter
them.
of
Yeah.
even lightening the weights. Like when you're doing front raises, so many people are
Oh,
going for the
yeah.
heavy weights and they're like,
Yeah.
and you're like, wait, just stop, drop to 5 and see how slow you can lower your arms. And if it doesn't burn, then go up in weights.
yeah, depending on the exercise.
So it just depends on.
And it doesn't necessarily have to
And
be
the
heavier
client.
weight or lighter weight,
No,
but
just,
range of motion.
yeah.
And
Slow
it's
down.
who, and it's who you
Tempo
know.
and all
Like
that.
my West Springs group's pretty low. Like I know my group
Yeah.
at West Springs, so for them I know who I can challenge. But it's
Yeah.
not like I'm gonna yell that to someone I don't know,
Yeah.
right? It's so
Yeah.
it's also client specific.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. I like that you said that. specific cues for groups. So it's like, oh, you guys, everyone on the ropes, I want you to get a little lower in your squat and go a little faster for the last 15 seconds. Like you can make it really specific to each group. I think, I don't know, I like using the mic, but sometimes I'll cover the mic and I'll just say something really specific. And then I'll come to the next group with something really specific. And sometimes I just bark it through the mic, but then everyone hears it and it doesn't really make sense. Does that? Anyways, but purpose, I think Lisa was talking about that. You know, sometimes on rows I'm like, this actually is going to help you keep way better posture throughout your day. Just like little things so they're like, oh, there's actually a reason I'm here in case you forget. And then timing, try to vary it up. 20 seconds left, 10 seconds left, give it all you've got. 3 seconds, that doesn't mean stop, that means give it all right to the end, because I see people at 5 seconds just drop. I'm like, no, 5 seconds means keep going, So, but change what you say, because otherwise it just becomes background noise and nobody's listening. All right. And then the last. Okay, cool. So another thing that's come up a few times is just really, I've had clients be like even this week we were doing rows and Carol was doing high rows. I'm like, actually, like today we're doing low rows, and it's not because they're better. It's just because it's a little bit different target. So I don't want her to think, oh well, last week Nikki had me doing high rows, so is there something wrong? No, it's just a different way of doing it. And so I really encourage you to think of us as a real team, and even if you have a fundamental difference of opinion, please bring it up to me, but just say, hey, that's how Charmaine does it, this is how I do it, this is how I was trained, we all have different trainings. Not saying that it's wrong. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Or not saying that I don't know why, I've heard this before, I don't know why they did it that way, this is how it should have been. So that's like looking at a nursing environment, not to pick on you, but since I know that, if you were like, oh, you have that doctor, oh, you probably want that doctor. It's like that would be a big issue, right?
You set your fellow coaches up for failure.
Yeah.
Right, like you start.
Or you can set them up for success.
Right.
Right. So just keeping that in mind, I think, is very important.
I've just referred to it as like no different than modifications.
Yeah.
We change things up for different reasons. It may not always make sense to you guys, but there's a reason behind it. So let's just go with the flow and give it a go. Like, really, high row, low row, it's just a modification. Someone can't do a high row because their shoulders are bumped out, I'm going to tell them to do a low row anyways, right? So I just look at it as modifications.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I always do it as a positive. I was like, yeah, that's a great exercise that we were doing, or that Char was doing, and then this week we're doing this, or whatever, right? So that's a great exercise, but this is a great exercise. And then it's like all of a sudden, as soon as you say great, or you say it in a positive way, they don't like hold on to it and they're not questioning it afterwards, because you're like, yeah, that was a fantastic exercise, but this week we're doing it this way, and this is a fantastic exercise, working a different part of your body. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, okay, great, and they don't even question it, right? But if we see unsure or we're unsure about each other in coaching, it weakens us as a team, but it also they don't have the confidence in us and we're the best in the biz, like we're the best in Calgary, right? So I think so as a team, you may do something different than me, you may do something different, you may all do something different and teach it a different way, but that's fantastic the way you taught it. This is the way that I'm going to teach it, right? But it doesn't mean that one's wrong. So it's just making sure that we're always boosting each other up, super positive, super energized, and then they don't even question it after.
But that's the beauty of Ironside.
Yeah.
You pick your coach that works best for you, and you work with different people and get different. That's the whole best thing about Ironside is the variety of coaches.
Yeah.
That we
And
all have
doing it in
something
a
else to
different
bring
way.
to the floor, and so you take what you can from whoever.
And this is different, but I heard Connor had people doing sit-ups, and you had to stop them. And so something like that, like I'm really not cool with that. So if there's something the client was like, well, why are we doing sit-ups? Charmaine says not to do sit-ups. I guess that's a fundamental thing. I think everyone knows that now, but even like, oh, well, we're just going to try it. They don't have to make it wrong, but I think what you did, because he was a practicum, was perfect. But does that make sense?
Yeah, and
that was confusing.
It goes both ways. If there can be a learning experience behind it, that's one thing.
Perfect.
But it's like
If it was
learning
after the
experience,
fact.
but also we're not going to ever do that again. Or something that's like fundamentally dangerous, like new person, let's go get the 70-pound kettlebell and start doing kettlebell swings. Like, no, absolutely not. You're going to get no benefit from that. So
And I
that's
didn't
like
say to him it was
absolutely
wrong. I just
You
said
just don't
right
do them at
now,
our
it just
side.
Yeah.
wasn't one of those things that we should be teaching our
Yeah.
new clients, especially who are not strong in that area,
Yeah.
right? And that would be a modification later, because a V-snap, kind of similar idea, but people will see it as a difficult exercise and won't do it. Tell them to do a sit-up, then it's like, oh, I could do that, but really, generally, it's probably not safe.
Yeah, they're probably gonna end up doing it wrong unless they have a very
So it's
developed
just how,
core
yeah,
as
how
is.
you say it.
So I was just curious if anybody watched my videos last week. Was it helpful or not without the demos?
I didn't mind it, I liked it.
Yeah. Did you still feel like you got something?
I was confused because some of them were the same day. On the
Really?
Thursday,
Oh,
we were
no.
teaching the Tuesday,
Yeah,
or
that's
showing the
true.
Tuesday.
There's one missing too.
Oh, I mixed
one of
it
the
up.
ones that
You
I
mixed
coached.
it.
Is it
But
Friday
it was
morning?
good.
Friday morning,
Okay.
I think. Right, Nikki, that we were saying the video wasn't working. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
But they were good though. But
Okay.
like I still like
You
them.
still used it for okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. If it's a waste of time, I was just like, I won't do it this way. It just takes me like a quarter of the time to do it that way. Cool. And then lastly was any feedback on the new workouts, the revamp. Feedback personally as a coach or that you've been
I
hearing.
loved it.
I
I
loved
loved
it.
it first
As a
week.
person, yeah, personally, I loved it. My husband loves it. He's like, I would go more because I like the change. I like the surprise, not knowing what it is and just doing it.
Cool.
I have had some people,
Sorry, I've got a lot of good feedback about it. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people will just say, that was great, I love it, the surprise, and it's all
Cool.
Well, one
I
of the.
have had some negative feedback.
Yeah, please share.
From clients that specifically come for strength training, they do cardio at another gym or a different kind, and they don't want a cardio workout. And one of them even asked, I don't know if she emailed
Yeah,
you or not,
Jenny
she
mentioned
asked to
that.
put her membership on hold until this month is over, she doesn't want anything to do with it. So I have had a few that go to more than one gym say it messes with their planning, they don't like it.
Yeah, we have had a couple,
Same
like
with
a
the
little.
beginners.
Okay.
Yeah, they come specifically for one core and one strength at least, and we have specific days for beginners, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and they say they want one strength and one core in those days. Third day they don't care, but those 2 days they said like if not, they're not gonna be coming.
And by strength, it's one full body session.
They don't care if it's full body
They don't
or
care?
specific.
Okay,
They want to be strength.
okay.
They want to lift weight specifically on one day. And the other day, like we talked with Patrick, like all the workouts is really core, but they don't see it that way.
Yeah.
Because we taught them that the core is leg lowers, it's the Russian twist, okay? And like I talked to them yesterday, for example, they don't see it that way. They just don't see it that they want to have the specific core day with little bit cardio is okay. Like yesterday, they loved it. They loved it.
I
The-
had a
the core
discussion
little
with
bit
a
of,
client about that.
you know, yeah.
About core. They were asking the same thing. What makes it so specific that we have core days specifically? And I said, well, generally that's a great day to focus, and we could really work with you one-on-one on how to work on your core. But you should be applying it every single day you're here.
Yeah,
Do
and
you
in
wanna
my
talk
mind,
about your core thing?
well, yeah, in my mind, pretty much almost every exercise can be a core exercise.
Yep.
Bench press
Exactly.
is a core
Yeah.
exercise.
Yeah.
Squats is a core exercise. Deadlifts are a core exercise. Kettlebell swings are a core exercise. Pretty much anything on the TRX is a core exercise. So as long as there's that core engagement and the clients, and we can help the clients become aware of that and engaging your core is important, they all can be core exercises. What was it on Thursday? Was it here?
You know,
There,
yeah,
one of the
yeah, we
stations, the
talked
one that was
Thursday,
right
yeah.
here,
Sumo
it was
squats.
sumo squats with
Yeah.
holding
Yeah.
a kettlebell.
Yeah.
I was like, that is a killer
Core,
core
right,
exercise,
yes.
right? Just holding a weight in front of
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
is a core exercise.
Can I make
Um,
a suggestion? Then maybe we should start to educate everybody every single day that we should be focusing on core. Because then I think how we educated them doing just core on specifically
Absolutely.
Tuesday
Yeah,
and
it's
Friday.
the marketing.
So we gotta
Today's,
start,
and
yeah.
not only that, like, hey, if we keep splitting up the muscle groups, they're getting strength training 3 days a week now, not just once.
Yeah.
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 Right?
That's the
Strength
thing.
and core,
Yeah.
3 days a week, so
Yeah.
they're getting more well-rounded workouts, and they're gonna benefit a lot more, which is the whole purpose.
And that, like with the beginners, kind of picking on them, like they want one strength day. At this point, I kind of view it as we pretty much have 6 strength days. The difference is going to be
Exactly.
Yeah.
volume.
But they want only one because they come twice a week,
Yeah.
right? Like most of
So,
them.
but
right?
it could be this. You could have the identical workout, and you're going heavier and slower in one, lighter and faster in the other. There you
yes,
go.
yeah.
One is strength
Yeah.
focused, and one is more conditioning
Yeah.
Yeah, but
focused.
this is
And
an
they're the same
opportunity
But,
movements.
but with the
class
beginner,
of
for
education
example,
too.
you know, like for them, when we have a strength, it's mostly standing position, right?
Yeah.
Because we do most of, and I need to use like lying down position for many of them,
Okay.
which that's one of the reasons they love the core, specific core,
Yeah.
right? Because we do most
Lying
of
down.
those exercises lying down or being on your floor, stuff like this. Like for them, doing 45 minutes all standing up is not gonna work because most of them have the hip injuries, have the knees injuries, stuff like this. Then that's one of the reasons they come to the core, because they take all these parts of the body out, right, and focusing more on engaging the core and hips and stuff like this. That is, I'm talking about beginners only because it's specific day, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
maybe
Just
just
modify that.
use it as an
hour.
education.
Yeah.
We're doing core every day in some way, and then maybe you can just slash the second round or third round and just do like at the end a big long core in the middle. Can you just
No,
play
I
around-
told them
play
yesterday
around with
that
it?
I will change it for them
Yeah.
if I have to, because
Yeah.
like honestly they said we're not coming. Like few of them they said we're gonna skip whole August because you're doing this in August. Then you know, oh my God, right? If they skip August, they're gonna skip the rest.
Yeah.
Then we don't want this to happen.
So,
It's funny because on the flip side, I've gotten a lot of feedback from people who have an injury or usually require modification, that they enjoy this because if they can't, you know, they can't do a lot of plank movements because of a shoulder, they're modifying less now in a workout and they leave feeling like they've gotten a better workout because they just, you know, it's the mental thing about the modifying, right? And it's so frustrating for them, even if you try to give them something challenging.
the whole
If they're,
thing's modified.
if the whole thing is
Yeah.
jumping, right, and they can't jumping and they're stepping and they're used to jumping, it's been so frustrating. So a lot of people, like Andrea, I think she's a long time, right, and she was saying because of her knee, she loves it because there's jumping. We did the jumping once today, that was it, and the rest of it she could do the whole thing. And we've had
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people saying that.
But you know what, it's really important, like me coming from one of the modifiers, you guys all know, if I come into your class, don't even pay attention because I modify half the stuff because I have to because of my back. But that has also really been something that I've brought to the floor when I'm coaching, because when I talk to them about their core, I'm like, forget the 6-pack, you guys. Your core is everything, front to back, shoulder to hip. It's everything. And from here, everything comes off of that. So you want to do a bicep curl, you better stabilize those shoulders, which is going to stabilize through the core, which is going to stabilize through that stance in the hip. Like, I'm constantly educating them that a bicep curl, if you don't have back strength or core strength, you should not be doing a heavy bicep curl, because you cannot stand there and do a bicep curl safely if you can't hold your core. So the whole class, there's so much, like, it doesn't, like, I in the beginning I was struggling, like, oh my God, okay guys, keep going, okay, work harder, okay, and I'm like, screw this. All right guys, this is where we're at here. Has everybody got their core engaged? Everyone's doing a squat right now, are you guys in it? We do a 2-minute plank, I talk the whole 2-minute plank. Where's your shoulders? Got the core? Anchor it in, guys, pull that 1.5 up. Okay, everybody good? All right, hold it. Let's go back again, check in, and I do a full, and that, now I don't have to worry about what I'm gonna talk about, because
What's the
I'm
pull the 1.5?
providing, I pull the 1.5.
What's that mean?
Between number 1 and number 2 is 1.5 pelvic floor. Imagine pulling that up, anchoring this all in, and I talk to them about a corset. You can have a 6-pack and have no strength, and I remind them of that. So stop thinking about the bloody 6-pack. And so I find that the whole hour, Patrick will know, I'm screaming over West Springs because I got a big voice, but I talk the entire hour. And it's not just about, come on guys, dig deeper, dig harder. It's like I'm throwing out bullets of education. And so I think that's a great opportunity if we're gonna try and educate them on full body stuff all the time. Someone's doing a squats, okay guys, you guys that are doing the squats right now, you got those cores pulled in, pull them in, anchor them, you gotta support in that, and that helps us keep that communication going in education. So then we're sharing the why, which is really what people need to know to continue coming. I mean, that's my own personal opinion on it, and it's, my passion because of my back, but it's kind of saved me in the whole talk as much as you can. Okay, no problem now.
Yeah.
So when,
People love it.
well, yeah, very good point. Pulling it back to, I guess, the revamped workouts, it is, communication is everything as it is in most things in life, I guess. Most of the feedback we've got, at least I've heard, it's probably like 90% positive and 10% negative.